Good evening, Cecil TV. I'm Grant Hanley, your political correspondent. Joining me, County Councilman Al Miller. Al, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Grant.
We appreciate it.
Good to see you again.
Yes, likewise. Councilman, you're obviously very involved in the Cecil County Council, but you're involved in way much more in the community. So we're going to give everybody a nice deep breath of relaxation, get away from the council for a bit, and talk about something else here at Cecil County, and that's Fair Hill. For the average viewer at home, you guys know Fair Hill for the Great Cecil County Fair, the 5-star racing event. But did you know that there used to be annual races all throughout the spring? There used to be 6, 7 races. But for the past 5 years, there hasn't been. So today we're with Al Miller, and we're going to kind of have a discussion about that and try to explain the issue. Why is that? So, Councilman, thank you for coming on the show. When it comes to the Fair Hill races in general, what players are typically involved?
Well, it used to be supported by the Breeders' Fair, and there was a committee in the county of local volunteers called the Cecil County Breeders' Fair. My dad was chairman of that for many years, and they put on the races, and they also put on the Breeders' Fair, which is a local 4-H and FFA group from around the area. They included people from Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland, different counties, and before Mr. du Pont died, and he left in his will that he wanted the Breeders' Fair to happen before the races would happen. So for years, the races were always on Memorial Day, and the Breeders' Fair was a week before. So then we got into COVID, and we got into the building the track, and there were some problems with the track. And I tell this story to everybody. My dad, when he heard that they were going to build a new track at Fair Hill, he said, Mr. du Pont, he always called him Mr. du Pont, said, Mr. du Pont liked that track the way it was because it was a real sharp track. It was like not an oval, but more of an elongated track, and it challenged the horse and the rider when he had to make that big turn on the ends. And but he also said if they were smart, they would take up Mr. du Pont's turf and put it in a stored area and water it and put it back, because Mr. du Pont, his instructions were always never cut the grass less than 5 inches.
Right.
He needed 5 inches of growth to keep a good horse track for his horses. Because when these big horses get on there riding around, they'll tear up the track.
Oh, yeah.
And
oh, yeah.
that'll help keep it going. So it's interesting times. It's a little frustrating times because the state put a lot of money into Fair Hill. It's a beautiful track, a beautiful facility. What a great location. But it's tough not having any horses on the track.
So it's been about a $20 million investment from the state. And when we say the state, that's the Maryland Department of Natural Resources?
And the state of Maryland.
Okay.
And they invested the money, and there was a Breeders' Fair, a Fair Hill Foundation, and they were raising money privately, and they've raised quite a bit of money. But it's hard to raise money when you don't have a race, and you're in your 5th year of no racing. And it's hard to get people to donate money for the Fair Hill races when you don't have any races. And there are some issues that need to be addressed on the track, and we need to get them fixed. And it was a local event. It was a happy event. It drew a lot of people. That it was like old home week.
Right,
it's like
right.
all the guys from Perryville, Elkton, Bohemian Manor, Rising Sun. They all got together and met at the racetrack, and everybody had a big time. The only thing that I can remember here recently that came even close to that was when we had the tree cut in Elkton that went to the Rockefeller Center, and that was like everybody from Rising Sun and Elkton getting back together again and talking, how we used to beat each other in basketball and football and everything. So it's a lot of fun. That's what it's all about, the community event. So yeah, it's neat. So
Fair Hill are you guys waiting on permission from the DNR to commence those races again?
It takes a lot of time. You've got to get the parimutuel betting up, and you've got everything. It takes a lot of time, but the clearance has to be able to have horses on the track, and that's kind of what we're waiting on.
Okay.
I'd like to see the grass grow a little taller, but we just got to keep working at it. I don't want it to fall by the wayside. It was too big of an event, in my opinion, to just let it go. We used to have 2 races. We had a race every spring at Memorial Day, and we'd have a race at Labor Day, unless the ground was really, really hard. Hence the reason for building a new track and the irrigation of the track, because that opens everything up to having it all year long, or any time during the summer, which, we'd love to see one. Al Miller would love to see one at the Cecil County Fair one time, sometime down the road. So.
And those old races, they used to benefit Union Hospital and things like that.
Yeah, all the money generated was to Union Hospital, and we do a lot of the same thing at the Cecil County Fair. We had a Smash for the Cure as a young 4-H kid that had the idea of doing it, and all that money went to the Union Hospital Breast Healthcare Center.
Wow.
And the interesting part of that is when we first started out, we didn't know whether we'd do it through a local hospital or just do it from, the big national companies. But we ended up just doing it to the Union Hospital, and all the money went directly to them. And it's really kind of cool. It's really kind of neat.
Great.
And actually, our chainsaw carver made a big eagle for him one year.
Oh, wow.
And we put it in Union Hospital. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, that's wonderful.
All community involved. Yep.
Now, there was a recent meeting that took place between Fair Hill stakeholders and Maryland DNR. Do you know anything about that meeting? Was it productive at all?
I don't. I'm not that actively involved. I get it from the citizens that come in and
Sure.
and they say, why aren't we having racing?
Yeah.
Why aren't we having racing? So anything we can do to get the pressure on, I think we need to keep moving and keep moving forward. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it was a great event. I know people of Cecil County miss it. I miss it. I'd love to see it. But as we were saying, Fair Hill is more than just racing. We actually have the Cecil County Fair coming up, and
Yep.
I know you're very involved with that. If you wanted to promote the fair here,
Always have been. Our fair is coming up July 19th through the 27th. It's I call it the best days of summer.
Absolutely.
My dad, in 1954, the year I was born, is actually the man that went to Mr. DuPont and asked if we could have a fair. And my dad used to tell this story that Mr. DuPont said, "You can have the fair under one condition: I pay for everything."
Wow.
So my dad, a couple years ago, asked me what our budget was at the fair, and I had told him, and he said our budget on the first fair was $4.50 because somebody forgot and bought an extension cord, and Mr. DuPont didn't pay the bill. But and my dad thought the world of Mr. DuPont, and he was a great man. So yeah.
Well, it's so interesting to see, decades and decades ago, being on the ground floor of the fair, and here you are still, you and your family, everything you do for the fair in this community. I'm grateful for it. People of Cecil County should be grateful for it, for your father, Mr. DuPont, and everything you and your family do.
Yeah.
So check out the fair, guys. Check out Fair Hill. A lot of good things going, and hopefully we'll have some racing in 2025.
I hope so, and come out and see all the 4-H kids. They do a great job with their animals, and we're really proud of Cecil County agriculture. So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.